Kill your phones and lock eyes on me right now. I'm not here to give you the polished teleprompter garbage you get on the 6 o'clock news. We need a real sit rep on what is actually going down on American soil, specifically in Minneapolis, where the line between law enforcement and a full-blown military operation is being erased. It's dangerous. Picture this. Operators, federal agents, kitted out like they're hitting a compound moving through snowy streets. We aren't in Fallujah. We aren't in Kandahar. We are in the parking lots of Target and suburban gas stations. For a guy who has been downrange like me, the smell of escalation is unmistakable. It's familiar and it's terrifying. You've seen the viral clips. A kid in a reflective vest gets hauled away from a store entrance. He's screaming he's a U.S. citizen. Armed agents shove him into a black SUV. DHS says it's for assaulting an officer. Maybe, but the optics, that doesn't look like an arrest. That looks like a snatch and grab in a hostile sector. When you drop operators with a tactical mindset into a civilian environment, the dynamics shift. You turn quiet neighborhoods into hot zones. Intel from the ground shows chaos spreading, from residential blocks to shopping districts. Locals and feds are staring each other down. This is the direct result of the administration ramping up the immigration crackdown after the Renee Good incident. That was the match thrown into a powder keg that's been damp since George Floyd in 2020. Representative Michael Howard said it straight. The community feels under siege by its own government. That is the sound of a population feeling betrayed. When federal prosecutors in Minnesota resign en masse to protest political interference from the DOJ, that is a sign that the chain of command is broken. And when the legal system shakes, the streets take the hit. Look at the numbers. 2,400 immigration-related arrests since November 29th. That is a massive number. DHS waves it around like a trophy. They say they grabbed sex offenders, armed robbers, drug dealers. If true, that is a tactical win, fine. But here is the rub. We have a serious intelligence gap. We don't know how many were hard targets and how many were just working stiffs caught in the dragnet. This lack of transparency is a death trap. It breeds fear. It turns the population into the enemy. When you deploy feds in these numbers, you aren't just enforcing the law, you are projecting force. You are turning Minneapolis into a chessboard where one bad move costs you social stability. We have task forces hunting in the dark without support from local partners. In the military, we call that a recipe for a FUBAR situation. Let's talk about kinetic action and why it fails when you apply it to the wrong context. What we are seeing is the militarization of police work. Verified footage shows agents smashing car windows and dragging drivers out just for not opening a door. That is aggressive. That is direct action raid tactics, not a traffic stop. Minneapolis City Council President Elliot Payne described agents with assault rifles and combat gear patrolling in convoys, shining lights on pedestrians like they are hunting insurgents in a hostile village. He called it a military occupation. From an operator's perspective, he isn't wrong about the morphology. You dress men like commandos, you give them a mission to suppress, and you drop them in a city, you just created a war zone in America. Trump says they are there to remove killers and rapists. Good objective on paper, but without actionable intelligence, it's reckless. Residents report agents screaming profanities, holstering and unholstering weapons. That shows extreme stress and a lack of discipline. That is how you get a negligent discharge. That is how innocent people get hurt. We are watching a classic failure loop. Instead of de-escalation, we have a show of force. And what does that do? It triggers a counter-reaction. Residents, activists, volunteers, they are organizing patrols. They are using cameras as weapons to overwatch the feds. It's a standoff, state versus citizen. And it's getting physical, snowballs and water bottles flying one way, pepper spray and tear gas flying the other. This is riot control 101 gone wrong. Christian Morales, a local, said he was tailed just because of how he looked. He was only cut loose when the community swarmed in to witness it. That tells me profiling is driving operations, not intel. When citizens feel they have to protect each other from the federal government, the social contract is shredded. We are entering a gray zone where the law isn't a shield, it's a weapon. The neighborhood whistles warning of Fed presence, that is straight up insurgency tactics. I've seen it overseas, it breaks my heart to see it here. Zoom out, look past the snow in Minneapolis, look at the strategic failure the suits in Washington are driving us toward. They are using a sledgehammer to kill a fly, thousands of agents to solve a problem that requires local cooperation and surgical intel. It's madness. DHS claiming Minnesota isn't cooperating and demanding the handover of 1,360 inmates is political theater, but enforcing it with brute force is causing massive blowback. We have lawsuits from the state and the cities trying to block the federal surge. That is lawfare between levels of government. It proves the rift is deep. When local officials tell their constituents to film federal agents for evidence, we are in a civil war of trust. And the cost? It's not just tax dollars. It's blood and treasure in the form of legitimacy. Maurice Ward warned it's only a matter of time before shots are fired. He's right. When you have locked and loaded weapons in a high-stress environment, tragedy is inevitable. We are wasting national resources, suppressing our own people, while real threats, China, near-peer adversaries are watching. Turning American cities into battlefields doesn't make us strong. It hollows us out. It creates divisions our enemies will exploit. Bottom line, the strength of a nation isn't measured by how many operators you can put on a street corner. It's measured by unity and the defense of the Constitution. Muna Ahmed, a Somali immigrant, said, "This is not the America I know." That statement should hit every decision maker in the gut. We need professionals protecting borders and stopping criminals. We do not need a force acting like an occupying army in our own backyard. Stop the political retribution. Pull the task forces back. Let the people who know the community keep the peace. Because if we keep down this road, we are looking at total system collapse. Stay frosty.